Coming up on Tuesday, we look at why the US government's decision to join the hunt for Ugandan warlord Joseph Kony is being called a game changer. That's Tuesday, but for now I'm Kevin McAleese in Washington alongside producer Simon Marks and Rebecca Hume on the bulletin desk. For everyone with feature story news everywhere, have a great evening. Goodbye.
The Labor Forum is brought to you each week by your Teamster friends and neighbors. The Teamsters have over a century of experience in enriching and protecting the rights of workers nationwide, and they continue to build on that proud legacy every day. With 1.4 million members, 30% of whom are women, Teamsters can be found in almost every major industry. They're the hard-working men and women whose jobs have always helped keep America strong, while providing the goods and services that keep the country running smoothly. Want more information? www.teamster.org.
We plant the food, we drive the cab, we load the ship, we run the lab, we build the bridges, we fly the plane, we do the work. This is our day, we do the work. Boom, boom. We do the work. Boom, boom. We do the work. This is our day. We type the page. We clean the streets. We sew the clothes. We change the sheets. We sell the goods. Yes, we do. We lay the stone. We do the work. This is our home.
89.3 FM here in Atlanta, Georgia. My name's Diane Mathowitz, and I'm a retired auto worker. I want to welcome you to the airwaves of WRFG. And for those of you who are home or someplace and listening on your computer, thank you very much for tuning in. And those of you who are watching on the Labor Forum YouTube channel, you will see that I am joined by Yvonne Robinson here in the studio, and also on the phone we have Cristian Avilar. And we're going to have a conversation today about the Fast for Families bus tour. But before we get into that, I just need to make sure that everyone is aware that the opinions that are expressed on this program are not necessarily those of the Board of Directors, staff, or volunteers here at WRFG. Although all of you who've heard many times the mission statement of WRFG knows that we are most concerned and most desirous of always bringing forth the views and opinions and issues and struggles of people who are left out of big business media, and that certainly includes workers, and that is what the Labor Forum attempts to do. The music that always starts the program off is by John Fromer, and it's called We Do the Work. Now, this is the third and final week of the WRFG Springtime Pledge Drive, and this is the main source of funds that keeps WRFG on the air. And I would like to really encourage those of you who are long-time listeners or maybe first-time listeners to WRFG to take a moment and go on your computer or call in. If you want to do it online, it's www.wrfg.org, and the phone number here in the studio is 404-523-8989, and you can call in anytime because we're on air 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And as I said, you always can give money, but at this moment we are in our spring fund drive, and we really need, it costs about $22,000 a month to keep the station on air. And that's a lot of money for a station that really relies on volunteers here as air shifters and really you, our listeners, as well, to pledge. So the phone is ringing. I'm hoping Sharon is going to be able to answer the phone, and we're going to go ahead with our interview. As I said, Cristian Avilar is on the phone. Cristian, hi. Oh. And in the studio is Yvonne Robinson. So is that Cristian again? Well, we'll go ahead with Yvonne, and we'll hope that we connect again with Cristian, who is actually on a bus, and he is going to be calling in and talking about this trip that has been taking place across multiple states. Yvonne Robinson, who is sitting next to me, is the Secretary-Treasurer of the state AFL-CIO. And thanks so much for coming in, Yvonne.
Thank you for having me.
You're so very welcome. So what we are discussing today is there have been many programs that have occurred, not just on the Labor Forum, but on WRFG, about the issue of immigration. And this bus tour that is happening right now is one of the many, many kinds of programs that we've seen here in Atlanta and across the country with a greater and greater intensity as people try to really impress upon elected officials the need to actually do something about the immigration policy. So, oh, great, Cristian, you are on air. Hi.
Hi. Thank you for listening, for having me here. I apologize. I didn't know I had such a bad reception in this area.
Right. I've explained to people that you're actually on a bus, and we will see whether or not we can keep cell phone contact with you. So I'm going to just take advantage of the fact that I've got you on air right now, and I'm going to ask Yvonne to hold on, and we'll have a conversation with her just in case we get interrupted again. So I know that this is, well, why don't you explain to folks what the Fast for Families is all about?
Well, the Fast for Families started last year when something going on in the Capitol in Washington, D.C. And we ended up fasting for 22 days with only water, and time the doctors told us that we thought that our bodies could have taken any longer. And then this year, we decided to do a tour across the country to really build on the same momentum we had already built during the fast, and to most importantly, to have a conversation with both members of Congress and with American people, and let them know what's going on, the moral crisis that we're facing as a country, and to see how we can come to a solution to this. And that's the reason we wanted to start with the conversation, because the conversations leads to an understanding, and then understanding leads to a solution, and that's where our end goal is to have a solution for 11 million people across the country.
Right. As I mentioned in the introduction, there have been many programs here on WRFG and on this program, the Labor Forum, about just what a critical situation the Obama administration is close to having deported 2 million workers, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters from this country, many of them who have committed no crime in that sense, other than that they don't have papers. Could you talk a little bit more about this issue of deportations and the detention system, particularly the one where so many billions of dollars in profit are being made by for-profit prisons?
Yeah, well, I think that the deportations I think it's just another reason why we need to have an immigration reform. It's just that urgency that families are having on Congress needs to act, and we need a permanent solution. And that's the reason that we decided to take 6 weeks out of our lives to have conversation with different Congress members, to ask them to take leadership, to listen to their constituents, so they can stop all this fear of people going to work and to earn an honest living. And it's just really unfortunate that we have to get to this circumstances for Congress to listen and to do something about it.
Now, I know you're from Arizona. Here in Georgia, we have several for-profit detention centers run by Corrections Corporation of America. I know that there have been hunger strikes that just have recently taken place in both Texas and in Washington State, I believe. Another corporation that runs prisons for immigrants. Have you had any contact as you've been going across the country with any of these former detainees or detainees who've been participating in hunger strikes in the past?
Well, there was a group fasting outside of the ICE office in Arizona, and we had a chance to meet with them and to really have a one-on-one conversation with them, and how it was so real and the pain that they're having of having their families detained. And it's just stories like that that keep on motivating us to keep even going further that we can, and try to find different angles on how we can touch the hearts of members of Congress to really do something about our situation here in the United States. And we just to remind them that the 1,100 people that are getting deported every day, the deaths in the desert, those aren't just numbers. Those are people with real dreams, real family, and they just want to have the opportunity to have the American dream. And I think this country was built on immigrants and the freedom. And I think we as Americans should have those values, and Congress needs to act on what the people are clearly demanding, and that's an immigration reform.
Can I ask you where you've all been, where the bus tour started? And I know you're headed to Washington, but where did you start and where have you been?
Well, there's two buses. We started out in Los Angeles on February 24th. One of the buses went to the north, and one came to the south. I'm on the south bus. On the bus in the south, we started in California. We went over to Nevada. We came down to Arizona, and then over to Texas, then Oklahoma, Alabama, Louisiana, and now in Florida. But in each of those states, we had multiple stops.
And I know, if you wouldn't mind, I know in Florida, one of your leaders was arrested. Can you talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah, it was an unfortunate situation that, that the police officers were extremely aggressive. It was an unnecessary force to have that. And as for such a family, we always want a peaceful manner. The reason we're at the police office is to deliver a letter, and as we already know, he's an advocate for immigration reform. We wanted to see a little bit more from his end, and trying to have a conversation on how we can help him become more of a leader and more of a champion on immigration reform. But unfortunately, things got out of hand, and I think a lot of people have already seen the video. It was just an unfortunate situation from the police point of view.
I'm going to have Yvonne talk a little bit about the activities that are going to take place here in Atlanta tomorrow. So I'm going to ask you if you wouldn't mind talking about what's going to happen when you get to Washington, D.C.
Well, in Washington, D.C., we're going to get there on April 9th. I think they're still trying to figure out the details of it, but I know there's going to be a group of women that are going to be fasting. I think there's a little bit over 200 women that are going to be fasting from April 7th to April 9th when the bus gets there, in solidarity with all the families that are suffering. I think the group is called We Belong Together, and we're really looking forward to seeing those women, take 3 days out of their lives and to give those sacrifices for Congress to listen.
So you've been traveling through some of the states that have some of the most backward and reactionary laws regarding immigration and immigrants. Georgia is certainly among the top in terms of just very, I don't even know how to describe it, very backward and reactionary and racist and legislation. We did have a small success in this General Assembly session that just ended. They were attempting to make it illegal in Georgia for DACA, for people who've been given the DACA deferment to get a driver's license, even though that is part of what the federal requires or allows. So let me ask you, as you were traveling through some of these states where the elected officials have tried so hard to turn people against immigrants, what the response has been to your trip?
Well, I think we have the privilege of visiting and a lot of places like that you just described. But I know that those places have a lot of history and a lot of pain, but they also have a lot of victories. And I think that's one of the reasons why we get inspired by those places, because we just look back on history and reflect on all the victories that many people, many leaders had back in the day. It is now our time to take a difference. And then I think that the American people are already moving forward past the mentality of being anti-immigrant. And I think that's why some of these bills, some of these victories have come about, is because I think the American people already passed the mentality. The American people already embrace us as American citizens, and I mean, it's I don't blame them. It's good for the economy, and it also acts on the moral values that we have as a country. And it just takes a little bit longer for legislators to take this into consideration, and hopefully they'll learn soon. And if they don't learn, I think a lot of us are going to speak up at the polls.
Okay, so we have to take a short break, Cristian, and we're going to come back. And when I come back, I'm going to ask Yvonne about the activities that are taking place here in Atlanta tomorrow. If you're able to still stay on the phone, that would be super, and then we'll get back to you again. So hold on, everybody. We're going to take this short break, and we will be back with Cristian Avilar and Yvonne Robinson.
Thank you.
On Sunday, March 30th, WRFG invites you to the launch of an oral history project recounting the contributions, influence, and role of women in the founding and continuing life of programming, progress, and culture of the station, WRFG 89.3 FM. For over 40 years, the wise, wild, and wonderful women of WRFG have placed their indelible stamp on the programming and culture of the station. Their stories are full of struggle, drama, collaboration, joy, laughter, and triumph. On Sunday, March 30th, from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m., see and hear from Barbara Joy, a founding member and community activist, Karen Marie Mason, a multi-talented figure in the political and entertainment worlds, and Dazon Dixon Diallo, internationally known AIDS expert, at the Solarium at 321 West Hill Street in the Oakhurst neighborhood of Decatur. Watch video interviews with these three women, see the memorial montage to key members of the WRFG family, such as Faye Bellamy Powell, Injiri Algani, and Annette McGee, and enjoy light refreshments and beverages. There's a $10 donation at the door. All proceeds to help fund the archiving project, Wise, Wild, Wonderful Women of WRFG. Mark your calendar now. You won't want to miss this. Sunday, March 30th from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m., join us to acknowledge the leadership of women in initiating and sustaining for 4 decades this most special community resource, WRFG 89.3 FM. The Solarium is located at 321 West Hill Street, Decatur, Georgia, 30030. For additional information, call 404-523-3471 during business hours.
And thank you. I hope that I'll see many of you on Sunday. I'll be there, and so many of the air shifters here at WRFG, past and present, will be there as well. And I think it'll be a both educational and good time. And I don't have a bell, so I'm going to go ding, 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 ding. Oh, I do have a bell. I want to thank Gary Washington for calling in right at the beginning of the program and making his pledge and contribution to WRFG. And, of course, those of you who are long-time WRFG Labor Forum listeners, you know that Gary was the one who initiated this program in 1986, carried it forward for 2+ decades, and I am trying to walk in his shoes. And so we're back. We have Cristian Avilar, who's calling from I don't know where on the road in a bus. He's with the Fast for Families, and this is a national, I guess you'd call it a mobilization to try to motivate congresspeople and also people in the United States to step forward and make sure that there's some passage of some fair and just legislation in this Congress that'll address the issues of the 11 million immigrants, workers, and their families who are here in the United States and need a solution to the situation they're in. I'm going to turn a little bit now to Yvonne Robinson. As I mentioned at the beginning of the program, she is the Secretary Treasurer of the state AFL-CIO, and that is the statewide grouping of labor unions here in the state of Georgia. And Yvonne, I have to give you a little thanks again for coming in. Now, I'm often asked why here on the Labor Forum I have so many programs about workers and that are immigrants, and I mention that that's the reason why, because immigrants are workers. They've come here to work, and they work, and they often are some of the most exploited workers. And this program is all about the issues of how to stop exploitation of working people. And so if we don't include workers that are immigrants, we're not going to come to the problems of other workers.
Absolutely.
So I want to ask you that question. When people ask you as the Secretary Treasurer of the state AFL, why is this organization involved in the Fast for Families bus trip?
Well, we're involved with immigration because, just as you said, they're workers. This country was built on immigrants, and there were immigrant workers. And if we don't stand up for folks who can't stand up for themselves, then the labor movement doesn't exist. Also, this is more than just a labor issue. It's a civil rights issue. Folks are being treated unfairly because of how they look, how they speak, and where they come from. And many of you know that in the South and in the North, this was an issue in the 60s. And we were, many of us were discriminated against because of how we look. And we're doing the same thing again. The other issue with this is that it tears families apart. We are about working families. Immigrants are working families. And if these families are torn apart, we're not doing what we need to do in our communities and in building our communities and making our families stronger.
So, as Cristian, I don't know where you are, but you've been on a bus for weeks, and you're about to come into Atlanta tomorrow, I understand. So, Yvonne is actually going to get on the bus here in Atlanta as it makes several stops. So, Yvonne, could you talk a little bit about what it is that's going to happen tomorrow when Cristian and all the others come in on this bus?
Well, I'll be joining Cristian tomorrow at the MLK Center at the Ebenezer Baptist Church, and we'll start the bus tour there. We'll have some words of inspiration at about 3 o'clock tomorrow, and we will be taking the bus to Plaza Fiesta on Buford Highway, and we plan to be there by 5 p.m. That's 4166 Buford Highway in Atlanta, Georgia. We will be talking to local leaders and community members, and they will be meeting with the fasters. We have several community leaders and groups that are there. It's not just, we have folks from, the GLAO, AAL, ALEC, which is an Asian, and many other labor union leaders who will be there to have conversation with those fasters to get the points and understand what really is going and offer their points of view. And then at 7 o'clock, we'll be having dinner and dialogue with the fasters, and that will be at the Ying Jing restaurant. That's a mouthful. And it's at 5302 Buford Highway in Doraville. So we plan to, have a good time, but press our issues. We know that Congress needs to take action on this, and we just want to talk about why this is important to our folks in our community, no matter what you look like, no matter how you sound, or no matter where you came from.
I want to ask both of you this final question. I think one of the things that happens that has been to the detriment of working people is, of course, the issue of what they call divide and conquer, which is that I know that when I was an auto worker, just getting into General Motors, there was a lot of sexism. There was a lot of feelings that women should not have jobs in auto plants because it was somehow taking away from men. And then we have obviously the issues of racism. Many white workers can perhaps feel that they've had a domination of a certain field or trade or type of job. And so we have fought time and time again to make it clear that there has to be solidarity among workers of all races, nationalities, languages, countries, and that we're all really up against bosses who are trying to make us work harder for less so that their profits get bigger. So I want to ask both of you if you want to comment on that, about the necessity for solidarity and the pitfalls, really, of any kind of attempt to divide workers one group against another. I'm going to start with you, Cristian, assuming you're still on the phone.
Yes, I'm still here.
Great.
Thank you. And we're here in Florida and Lakeland. We're having a great time. We have a lot of good community meetings. And I think we need to have solidarity, and I think that's already happening. Last night we just had a meeting in one of the Baptist church, and we really came together with two different communities that are fighting for the same thing, and that's the African American community. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're so anxious and so looking forward to being on the MLK site, since he was one of the persons that really taught us a lot of things about moral values and human rights. And I'm just really blessed and proud to be following his footsteps on finally making a difference for generations to come, and making a difference, and to very get it, bring to reality where all men are created equal. And I think that's already happening across the country. Many communities are coming together: labor, union, business, faith leaders, people from all kinds of different religions are coming together for the same cause, and that's immigration reform. And I don't think we've ever seen something, an issue that has so many supports from all different angles, since how immigration reform has it right now. And we're looking forward to being in Atlanta soon.
Thank you so much, Cristian, and I look forward to having an opportunity maybe to meet you tomorrow as well. So, Yvonne, if you want to close out with your thoughts about what I said about divide and conquer and the need for solidarity.
And, well, in dealing with labor and union members, it's going to be very important, and it has been important to educate our members on what this divide and conquer will do to us, and to educate our members on how to come together with community groups for our cause. Too many times we're over in one corner and they're over in one corner, and it's us against them, and we all have the same issues. So this is going to be, this is monumental. It's very important. Labor is very happy to be part of this team, and I can't wait till tomorrow to get on the bus and meet Kristen and to meet the other folks that are there. There are women's groups. There's not just, there's Caribbean groups. This affects everybody. When you talk about it, you think about Border Patrol, but this is not about that. This is about folks from all over. And this is monumental, and I'm really excited about it, and I'm glad that labor has took a stance on it. When I got elected, I went on a delegation to Alabama on immigration, and I learned so much that it helped me understand, and that's what I'm hoping that this tour will do, will educate not only labor but the community.
So just one more time, if you wouldn't mind, Yvonne, just give those times and places for people, particularly the 5 o'clock rally.
Okay. 3 o'clock will be at Ebenezer Baptist Church, and that's at 449 Auburn Avenue Northeast. Then we're going to be going to Plaza Fiesta on Buford Highway, and that's 4166 Buford Highway Northeast, Atlanta, Georgia. And then Yinjing Restaurant, which is 5312 Buford Highway, and that's in Doraville, Georgia. So we hope to see folks out there, and just, this is a celebration also. It's a message, it's education, but it's also a celebration of us getting together and just celebrating these folks who are coming to our country. They are welcome.
Cristian, if you're still there, would you mind giving the website for Fast for Families?
Yeah, it's Fast for Family, the number 4 families.org. And I'm just very, very thankful for everything that you guys have done. I thank you for giving us the time on the radio. And I also want to just give a special thank you for Delane Adams and Chris Buman and all the organizations that are helping put our visit together. And I had the opportunity to meet these great people when I first went to Atlanta, and I had a great time. And I'm really looking forward to meet all of you guys and visit with the community and just really get inspired from them and see how we can work together to bring this into an end.
Well, thank you both very much for being on air today, and remind folks that the labor forum will be back at 4:30 to 5 tomorrow, Wednesday. Please tune in, and of course, please do pledge at WRFG.org or call in 404-523-8989. Bye-bye.
Racism, we will not bow down to